Hello, everybody. Today is a very exciting day because we are going to be using our art kits for the very first time. It's going to be a really fun art lesson. So what I need from you is to grab your art kit. You're also going to need a cup of water. It doesn't have to be this full because we are going to be using the watercolors today. So today you're going to need your art kit. You'll also need the paper that comes inside the art kit. You just need one piece. Cup of water. Go ahead, go grab those items and then we'll get started. Okay, so now that you have your art kit, you can go ahead and open the plastic off the top, and then you can take off the paper piece that was on top of there also, and then you're gonna have your art kit. You can open up the latches and carefully open it up. And inside this art kit, you have so many wonderful things. You have your own set of pastels. These are different than crayons. These are more of an oily kind of art crayon that can get on clothes and it can stain. So with your pastels, you want to make sure you're very careful with them because they can smear as well. But we will be using those today. You have watercolors down here. They look a little bit different than the watercolors we use at school. These ones are a little more square, but that's kind of nice because it kind of can pocket up the water in there. So when you do your watercolor, the paint won't spill everywhere. So you've got the 3 palettes there. You have 2 paintbrushes. Sorry, I took one of them out, but you should have 2 paintbrushes in there. I chose to use the bigger brush today. You have 2 pencils, your ruler. This is an eraser right here, and then a nice sharpener. You're also gonna be able to use markers and your colored pencils. This sharpener should stay inside your art kit just in case you ever need it. Now for today, it's gonna be a very open-ended art lesson. So you're going to have the opportunity to use whatever you would like. I'm going to give you somewhat of a guideline and show you what you can do, but the art itself is going to be up to you. That's the most fun kind of art. We're going to be making vases today with flowers on the inside of it. This is just one little example that I made, but I'm going to kind of step by step show you what I used. But again, it's your art. So today I will show you the guidelines and then you will be able to create whatever you'd like. So what you're going to do, you're going to grab your piece of paper, your water, and your paintbrush. And one thing I do want to tell you is your watercolors come with these little plastic covers. You're going to want to keep these safe. So you can take them off your art kit. They kind of carefully come off, but then I'm going to keep them over here on the side, kind of on top of my markers, just because I don't want to lose them because it will be able to cover your paints when you're done. When you're finished, you do want to let your paints dry a little bit before you put the cover on it, but I'm going to show you all that kind of stuff. So here we go. Go ahead and grab that piece of paper and here we go. I am going to start off with grabbing a pastel color of my choice to make the vase. Now the vase can be anything that you want it to be. I chose kind of an oval one here. It's not a perfect vase, but it can be any kind that you want. So this time around, I think I'm gonna do more of something like this. You can kind of tell when you start using it, it feels very different. It feels different than a crayon because it's just a little more smooth and oily. The one thing about pastels and crayons is when you use watercolor, I'm sure you've done this, it's kind of got a wax resist to it and the water won't go past that. So that's one thing that we're going to be working with today. And then I'm going to make a line across. Now you can do something like this, or in this situation right here, whoops, I kind of forgot to do the back of it, but I made a little arch in the front because then when I'm done, you kind of add a little background there to kind of let it look like it's actually inside the pot. I kind of forgot that step, but you can do that right there. So I've got my outline for my vase. I'm not going to do anything on the inside quite yet because I want to get the flowers done first because you're going to get the choice to use whatever you'd like for the inside of your vase. For the stems of the flowers, there's 3 different colors of green that you can choose from. So you can choose anything you'd like. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start making some stems. And I start that by making a line. And then what I do is I go halfway down and then I kind of create a little bit of a leaf. If you want to, you can do that. Or if you would rather just have stems, you can just do that as well. It's totally up to you. But I'm going to start just kind of making some stems here. Oops, not a perfect one, but that's okay. This one's going to be kind of going off to the side. Oh, that's maybe going to go off the paper, but that's okay. And again, I'm kind of just doing some random ones here. And if I wanted to, I could make some kind of come from the back here just to make it a little more interesting. And I kind of could maybe want to make them a little bit thinner too. These are pretty thick stems, but apparently I have really thick flowers. So it's up to you what you want to do for your stems. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of that to the leaf. Again, it's up to you. I'm gonna make one more little stem coming through there. Okay, so now I've got my flower stems ready to go. And now I am going to do the flower piece. Now what I want to do, and you can choose orange, you can choose yellow, whatever you want to do, but I kind of want to imagine where the flower tops are going to be. And I'm going to add yellow just because that's kind of where the center of the flower will be. So I'm adding little yellow tops. If you'd rather not have the yellow tops, that's totally fine. All right, and now I think I'm gonna switch it up this time. I'm gonna have purple flowers. I'm going to have some orange flowers because why not? And maybe some blue flowers. So now what I'm gonna do, you can choose different types of flowers. I like choosing the one that has 5 petals on it. But you can do whatever you want. If you prefer doing ones that have loops like this, that's fine too. Make a purple one over here. Or another type of flower, I like doing this. You draw 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines like that. And then you just connect the lines to each other. And that makes a really cool flower like that too. I've kind of made my flower a little bit of a floating flower right there. So I'm going to just go ahead and go in there and add that. Let's see, I'm going to add. If you don't want having 5, if you'd rather have 4, that works too. And then I kind of just eliminated that flower right there, but that's okay. I'm just going to add another flower inside there. So your flowers can be whatever you want them to be. And then I'm gonna just make sure that they're connected a little bit. Whatever you want. And flowers are all very different from one another, so you can kind of make them whatever you'd like them to be. Okay, if you want them to be all the same color, that's fine too. I am gonna just add one more right in the center here, because I like making it look like it's a really full bouquet. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I've got the flower part, I've got my vase. Now what I'm gonna do is the watercolor. Now I wanted to show you how to use watercolor. I'm taking this out of my case. I would not recommend you taking these out of your case, but I'm doing it because I really wanna show you something. And the kit does not fit under my document camera. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add some water. Now, when you first add the water to your watercolors, it's not really going to do anything. Like if I just went right here and then went through there, look at, there's no color. So what you need to do, and on the inside of the watercolor, you can kind of work inside that palette in there and rub your brush in there to kind of collect some color. So the longer I do this, the brighter my color is going to be, because the more paint is going to be on my brush. So now, ooh, now look at how cool that color turned out. So I'm doing it inside the petal because naturally that oil that's in the pastel is capturing that water and not letting it go past there. It's kind of like a little barrier. I'm gonna go back in there. I'm not adding any more water to my palette because I really enjoy this bright color that it's making. If you wanted to lighten it up, you could add some water, but again, the more I'm gonna really work it in this time. Watch what happens when I really work it in that color. Look how dark it gets. So again, if you add more color or water, I'm gonna add some more water there, and then it makes it a little bit different. So again, the longer you work your brush into that watercolor, the brighter that color is gonna be. The more water that you put in there, the lighter and brighter the color is going to be. Now, if you wanted to, when you're done, you could find another color. Like I found another little purple color over here, and you could kind of add a little bit of detail in there. That's what's fun about watercolors. You can kind of blend the colors together a little bit if you wanted to, or you could just focus on one color per each one. Now I want to switch to orange, but because I'm doing this, my purple will kind of mix with this orange. So what I want to do is really make sure I've cleaned out my brush. The water might get a little dirty, but really just work your brush in there to make sure all the color got out. And now I'm going to go to this orange and I'm going to do exactly what I did the last time. I'm going to add the water in there. But again, look, as soon as I do that, there's not really any color to it because I've got to work in that water to get the color as bright as I can. So there's, oh, that's kind of bright. I want it a little bit brighter though. So I'm going to really work my brush in there. I'm going to keep the water inside that square, but I'm going to work that water inside there. So I'm going to keep on going back for more color. Sorry, I'm trying to stay in the lines, but I'm trying to also do this somewhat quick so you guys can get to your art. Adding it in there. So you're going to just keep on doing this until all of your flowers are filled. So go ahead and fill your flowers. When you're finished with your flowers, you're going to do the same thing for the stems. You're going to choose one of the greens, or if you wanted your stems to be a different color, that works too. But you're going to add that water into your color and work it around. And then you get to add your stems. So go ahead, work on your stems and your flowers. Go. Okay, so now I've finished my flowers, I've got my vase. This is totally up to you what you want to do. If you liked the way the pastels were working and you want to make a pattern with pastels and watercolor, go for it. If you're excited about your markers and your colored pencils and you want to try something a little bit different, go for it. This is 100% up to you. You can add any kind of designs. These markers are very hard to open for some reason. You actually have to really pull them apart. I know that sounds silly, but if you try to twist them open, they won't twist because they kind of have a triangle to them. So you have to really pull them apart. You can add a design. I don't really know what I'm doing there, but I just thought that was kind of fun. I added a design there. And now maybe you want to use your colored pencils to color the inside. You can do whatever you want. Colored pencils, you can do pastels. I would not recommend coloring in with the pastels because remember, it does make a pretty big mess if it were to get smeared. So I would recommend you using colored pencils or markers on the inside, or if you wanted to, you could do pastels on the inside, but just knowing that you want to just use it as an outline would probably be best. So anything you want to do on the inside there is up to you. Markers are fun to do lots of good detail. Just take this time to play around with your marker set, play around with your colored pencils, whatever you'd like. There's also this ruler here too. So if you would prefer to do something like outlining or something, or if you want to just kind of do a diagonal across, that would be super cool too. Up to you. I'm finished with that part. I am going to use watercolor for the rest of it. So I am going to choose a color for the inside. I like this teal right here. I'm going to try to see what this teal looks like. It's kind of light. I probably should have let it work in there a little bit longer. So the inside of the vase is 100% up to you. At the very end, something that makes it look a little bit more complete and finished is when there's a background. So if you want to, you can draw a table. You know, maybe you have put this vase on a table. So maybe I grab the brown Maybe it's on a chair, maybe it's on a windowsill. It's up to you. Or maybe it's in a garden, whatever you'd like. So I'm kind of putting it on a table there. I'm going to want to use my brown watercolor for the bottom. And then for the background, it would be a really good idea to choose a really bright color to make it pop. On my last one, I hadn't used any purple, and the purple really made it kind of pop out. And so that was really great. But for the background here, I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do. I think I might do maybe a yellow. I have used some yellow in there, but it might be kind of fun to add a little more yellow. And I am painting on my table, so I'm gonna make sure that I really clean that up when I'm done, because your trusted adult, parent, guardian, whoever you are home with right now will not appreciate paint all over their table. So you're gonna wanna make sure you clean that up. I am gonna choose yellow. So I'm gonna go to this yellow and work in, ooh, I already got really nice and colorful, just like that. So I am going to add my background. And yes, I am gonna be painting on this table because I want it to go off of the edge. I'm gonna add a little bit of color there, but I am gonna make sure I still follow the horizontal strokes that I'm doing, because I do want it to look really nice. So I'm going to kind of continue with my strokes like this. And I'm going to go all the way up. I'm kind of making it darker in some areas and lighter in others. You can try to make it the same color all the way through if you'd like, or you can kind of do what I'm doing and make sure that I'm not getting inside my flowers here, although the green does kind of blend in with that yellow. So maybe I probably should have gone with a darker green, but that's okay. I'm gonna be careful when I'm going up on my flowers. Okay, now you can't really see it very well under my document camera. I'm going to show you this way instead. There is my finished product right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. And what happens when it dries, this has only been drying for about 20 minutes, and it starts to kind of curl up. So you could take your Journeys book, your big blue reading book, and once it's dry, you got to wait for it to be a little bit dry first, but stick it underneath the book and it'll get nice and flat. And it's something really pretty that you could give to somebody. Or if you like to, you can keep on working and make another one. Go ahead, take a picture of your final document, final art piece, and put it on the class blog or share with whoever you'd like. All right, have fun, everybody. Go Bolts.